Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Janice Cito, and I'm here to explain how to set rules for your teams. This is for my class in strategic management, but this also applies to my other classes too. So if you're doing the law class, or if you're doing leadership, or if you're doing media education, and your task is to develop a set of rules, then you'll find this very brief tutorial very helpful. So when you work with friends or even people you're not friends with, it's good to set down what are your common expectations. What do you want to happen? Now, for most people, they say, "Oh, well, it's very easy. We're going to meet, and we're going to do this, etc." Well, everybody has to consider that you have different ideas of meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a slideshow and let's just go over how to do it. Now, I believe writing is very important, but there are some things that you should focus on writing about and some things you can just simply put in a chart. And one of them are your 10 rules for your team to work together. Let me just see. Okay, please let me, I'm going to have to go back and hold on a second. Okay, so let me just get you to some things to consider. So you have to develop 10 rules for your team effectiveness. So you should meet as a team and talk. Somebody should take notes. In fact, you all should take notes. And I think it's good to decide first meeting frequency. How often do you plan to meet? Do you plan to meet once a week? Do you plan to meet every class? Do you plan to meet virtually? And I think that's a good thing to set at the very beginning so people can understand their time commitments. Secondly, is who's got to are you going to expect everybody to be there on time, or are you going to say we're going to meet at 5, but give us 5 minutes, and then we'll start, or are you going to say we're going to start at 5, and that's it. We expect everybody to be there. So please define what you think are standards for your group when it comes to meeting promptness. Here's another thing. Some people show up and they're sleepy. Some people show up, they're grumpy. Some people show up and they're just not altogether there. You want people to arrive alert and prepared at meetings, and you might want to write that down because that's way people know how they can best perform in your meeting. If people are going to be late, well, I think that the best way, if somebody thinks they're going to be late, they email everybody promptly as soon as possible. If you think that there's no way you can make tomorrow's meeting at 12 and it's already, let's say, previous day, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just email, send them up. But it's not enough to say, I told somebody. You need to inform everybody in writing. Email is probably the best way, SMS, but you've got to make sure that you do it in writing. Now, when everyone's at the meeting, you want to make sure everybody contributes and has a chance to contribute. So I call this respectful listening or not interrupting. You might want to do this and everybody take turns. You go around in a circle and everyone gets 2 minutes. And everyone else has to listen. No rolling of the eyes if you think it's maybe not a clever insight, but everyone do what you can to be respectful. And the other thing is during a meeting, it's good to know what's going on, but also you have to know how to handle conflict. So this is one thing that you should really discuss. Are you going to go with, if there's a conflict, are you going to go majority rules? Or are you going to say everyone must agree? So there's consensus. It's whatever you folks to decide. Next, you want to have a record of your meetings. So you might say everybody takes notes. You might have it that everybody takes notes and one person who takes notes officially for everybody, especially the chair of the meeting, the CEO. So you could have one person takes notes for the CEO who chairs the meeting, and everybody takes their own notes but the person who takes it for the chair, maybe those notes are the most complete ones. So it's whatever you folks to decide, but everyone should take turns. There's 7 rounds, 3 practice rounds. Everyone needs to take turns taking the official minutes, the official notes for the meeting. Spreads the work out. And I think that it's important for the CEO in writing to send a notice to all the team, the agenda. And the agenda is a list of items that you want to discuss at the meeting so that everybody can arrive prepared. When you play the Sesame game, there are times in which there's going to be disagreements about what are the different decisions, or the CEO at just before the decision deadline's up may notice a mistake and may decide to make unilateral changes without consultation. If it's a last minute thing, then the CEO should have that right to do it, and then inform whichever department it is what happened. But that's something that gives your team flexibility. Doing work before deadlines, you want to make sure everybody hands in their share of the work to the CEO, so that nobody's scrambling. I have to adhere to HCT policy. I guess you do too. And so this is some 10 rules, and I've just thrown another. And there's lots of ways that you can have a better team, a better functioning team. Coming up with a whole bunch of rules that are very necessary, good for you. I've just thrown another one. So check how many people check the team assessments before handing in, especially identifying spelling grammar, which is a very, very important part of your assessment mark. So decide that. Everybody check who goes first. Do it before deadline. I suggest, ladies and gentlemen, if you have your good discussion, then you put those rules in a chart. And the chart basically, as you can see, 3 columns. Rule 1, description. Well, it's about meeting weekly, and you've set a time. I think that in this class, probably you'll meet twice weekly. Some of you may meet every day. There's a lot of work, but it depends on what works for your team. Consequences, right? If there's a conflict that Wednesday 11 doesn't work, then the CEO will just have to make a change. Maybe change it to Thursday. Maybe Thursday's a good time. Or you decide meet virtually. But basically the CEO has to do it by no later than Tuesday. That way it shows due consideration for your time. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So basically that's a quick overview of coming up with rules that will help your team perform to maximum. Bye.